In this video, I'm going to talk about page linking with ScrapPage. It's one of the key elements of the program that allows you to build these interactive family trees and other sorts of things that you can create with the program. So in order to do a page link, obviously you have to have a page. So let's take a little time and build a page here. Now I'm going to start with just, say a color background, and we'll make it landscape, and I'll give it a little bit of a color here and maybe a texture. You can change all this later if you don't like what you chose, but let's just start with, say, that. There's a nice little kind of a little backdrop for our project here. So now what am I going to do? Well, first off, I think I'm going to add a media holder. Now you might remember from other videos, if you've been watching them, that to make an action page, you have to have something that's going to hold the action, and I call these media holders. So for this one, let's start with a slideshow, and we'll set it over here somewhere about like this. All right, so now the slideshow is positioned. We'll just leave it sit right where it is. How's that? Now, I'll just give this thing a title. So let's put a text box in here, and I'm going to use some pictures that I have available. And it's of a young lady named Sarah, and we'll auto size her. And for fun, let's just give her a fancy script. And maybe we'll give her a color that's not quite that dark, maybe something like this. Okay, so we'll make it a little larger. We'll auto size it up here and set it over here, maybe even make it a little bigger than it was just by clicking that little plus button there. All right. Now, in addition to that, I'm going to also add another picture here. And I think, let's see, I want to go back here. I can pick from my favorites folder. You can set up favorites folders, by the way. So I'll pick from here, and I know I've got pictures of her in here. I'll take one when she was getting a little bit older, and let's just crop it down. By the way, you can right-click on the photo, and that'll bring up this crop rectangle, and we'll put this in here, and it'll let the picture fit a little better into the space that we have available. So once it's cropped, we just set it right, say about like that. All right. Now, we put a slideshow holder in here, but we don't have anything in the slides just yet. In order to do that, we just go over here and we tell it under Add, we want to go down to the point where we can get the slideshow images. So when I pick this up, or I click that, this dialog box comes up. Now, it has nothing in it yet, so we go over here and I'm going to add slideshow images. All right, so I happen to have these other photos of Sarah in here, and we'll just bring them in. And you can see they almost fit. All right, I just kind of judged how big that should be when I put the slideshow holder. The little green bar on the side shows you how much it's not fitting. It's a real simple matter to make it fit. You can do one of several things. You can crop the picture with the slideshow ratio. That would crop the picture so that it from the center out so that it exactly fits the box. Or you could do a random crop, which sometimes is something you want to do, but not usually. Usually you're trying to fill the box. And the other thing you can do is auto crop it. So if I just auto crop it, you'll see now that it completely fills the box. And I'll just go down and do that with each one of these. I'll auto crop them until they all exactly fill into the box. You see how simple it is to do this. You just select the photo and tell it auto crop, and the program takes care of making sure that it's going to fill the box exactly. All right, so now they all fill the box, and we go down here, and if we want, we can preview these things and see what they're going to look like. So there's what they'll be just by clicking this preview button up here. It'll cycle through the pictures. One thing that we might want to do is, in order to make this more user-friendly. Right now, it's set up to run automatically, but I can make it be manual. Let's make it be a carousel style, and I'll make it be a manually controlled slideshow, and it'll be controlled by either clicking right or left on the picture. And let's keep it be a continuous loop so that it never stops running at the end of when it gets through the 6 pictures, or what I have 6 pictures here. You don't want it to stop. It will just continue the loop. Okay, so now we've got that. Now, here's the page, but how do you get to it, or where do you go from it? Well, a way to do that is we can do it with a button, but we can also do it by adding a menu. And a menu's a very interesting thing. This comes in much bigger than we need it to be, so let's just put it down here about like that. And we can color it again. We'll color it with the same color as everything else on this page. Now, when I've got a menu up here, this button is not really hot. It just says it's a menu, but you have to tell it something. So we have to link to it, and I'm going to link a drop-down menu to it. Now, that opens up this box here, and what I'm going to do is to keep this real simple. I'm just going to add a single element here, and I'm going to call this a back button. So I'll tell it it's a back button, it's a page link, and all I want to do is tell it here, and the active page that I want to go to is I want it to go back. I want it to go back to wherever it came from. All right, so we'll save that. All right, now let's close. All right, so now we've got our page constructed here. Now, to take a real quick look at it, there's one thing we can do. We can tell it, hey, let's bring up an action or quick page or a view quick page. When I do that, well, I'm going to have to move my browser over here for you guys to see this, but you can see that our window came up, and if we click on her here, here, or here on this side, that it advances the or reverses the flow of the page or the pictures. Also, if we drop this down, you'll see there's our back button. Of course, since we have nowhere to go back to, it doesn't go back to any place just yet. So now we've saved that, or rather I haven't saved this yet, so I'm going to build an action page that's going to be savable. So I go in here to my build the action page, and this dialog is going to come up and allow me to build it either for a page on the internet or for a page for local viewing. I'll explain that later on, but for right now, let's just build it for a page for local viewing. All right, so we do that. Now, here is the example that I used on the web of that fancy tree that was linked to a lot of pages, you know, the very graphic page. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to save this, and I'm going to call it Sarah Page. Okay, now you'll see in a minute why I'm doing that. Here's all the other pages that were in that particular tree that I had before, and if I just go ahead and save this now, now it's saved in there, and I can view it if I really want to, and it'll come up to the size that we made it. Again, there's the back menu, but it doesn't go back to anywhere. And here's the pictures of Sarah that we can cycle through, just like so. Okay, so there's the page that we've built. Now, what do we do with this? Well, the thing we have to do is to link to this page from somewhere else. Now, you recall over here in my on a previous page, yeah, let's save this. I'll just call this Sarah page. Okay, so I'll just save that. And now we'll go over here, and I want to open a recent page. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down, and I'm going to find one that is called my main tree. All right, so when this opens up, you'll see that it has one of the trees that we used earlier. That is for me. And I'm going to then add to this. I need a space here for Sarah. She's a descendant of mine. So what I'll do is I want to find I'm going to add a picture. I'm sorry. I'm going to add a picture. Not the picture from there. Let's add a picture from one of my favorites, and you'll see these tree primitives. These are kind of interesting for genealogy purposes. But I'm just going to add this white cell right here, or this cell right here. Now, in here, let's make this be the color that we've been working with. So I'll just colorize it to the color that we've been working with. Now, in here, I'm going to add a text box. And if you don't understand text boxes, there's a video that talks about how to use these things too. But anyway, I'm going to type in here Sarah. And I'll tell it to auto size, and I think I'll probably get rid of it, make it Arial so that it looks like everything else, and we'll give it the color that we've been living with. Okay, so So there, now I've got this box. Now it's way bigger than what I need it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select. I'll select first the text, and then by holding down the Control key, I can make multiple selections. So I'll select the box itself, and I'm going to copy this selection. And now that it's copied, I'll go ahead and paste it back into our page. And you can see now that it's a unit that moves together. I can resize it and place it anywhere I want. So let's bring it down here, and we'll set it down here underneath me. And in order to show how it's connected, I'll go up here. I'm going to add some lines. One of the options you have with ScrapPage is you can add lines. Thickness of 2 is pretty good. So what I want to do is I'm going to draw a line from me over to Sharon. And we probably better give that thing the same color as we had given our other stuff, just for consistency. So I think it was about a brown, something in this area. I should have saved that, but I didn't. But anyway, we'll give it that brown color there. And then one more line. We'll add one more line down. Start right here, and we'll put it down about like so. And again, we'll give this one that same... got to select it first. I can't color it before I select it, but there we go. We'll select it, and we'll give it the same color as the last item, which was, I think, a brown somewhere in there. I should have been saving that color, but I didn't. There we go. It's also a little off-centered, so let's just set its rotation back to 0. Oops, not to 0. In this case, I want it to go to 90. All right, so there. Now we've got a node for Sarah. Now, remember, we had made that page for her, and in order to make a link, all I have to do now is just go ahead and select this box and go up here under Links, and it's going to allow me to link to a page. All right, so it'll allow me to link to a lot of things, but I'm going to select that I want it to link to a page. So if we now create a link to that page, I'll go ahead and I want to find a page that I'm going to link it to. So remember, we had our stuff here in, I think it was in here. Everything, by the way, all pages have to link into the same folder. You can't link all over the place on your hard drive. It would be just too cumbersome to try to keep track of where everything is. But anyway, in the same folder, we have our Sarah page that we made, okay? So I'm going to say, fine, I'm going to link to that and tell it okay, and that's all I have to do. So now if I take and go ahead and rebuild this page, I'll go in here now and say I want to build this as an action page, and we'll do it for local viewing. I could put it up on the internet, but that would take a little bit more time. I think for now I'll just go ahead and say that I know that my page is called the David Fitzpatrick page. So I'll go ahead and say, yep, I want to overwrite that. And it's going to go through now and do a little preparation. It says, okay, it's finished building the page. Do I want to take a look at it? Yes, I'll go here and tell it yes. Okay, so now there's the page. Remember, we had the page here that hooked to, say, for instance, to my father. And maybe we had called up pictures of my grandmother and whatever. But we also now have added a link for Sarah. So if I click on Sarah, there comes the page that we made. Again, we can do the cycle through with the photos just like we had. And we now have a menu item that allows me to jump backwards. And why isn't it jumping backwards? There we go. I didn't click it. All right. So anyhow, now you can see that anytime I want, I can go here to Sarah. And when I get tired of being there, I can come back to here. And I can look, for instance, at my mother's page and see her stuff. And I can return to my page. Just like before, we could jump over to Sharon if we wanted to and look at stuff on her page, and return to her main tree, go back over here to me, go down to Sarah again, and there's that page we just made. All right, so that's the way linking is done in ScrapPage. You can see you can do it either by direct links, like we put a link here on this particular node, or if you want, as we did, you can make them be for drop-down menus, which would take you back. Now, the menus can be complex if you want them to be. For instance, here on my mother's, I got quite a few things on hers. she could jump back to me, or she could advance over to her husband, my father. And similarly, my father could go back to her, or he could bring up a picture of perhaps his son Bill, or he could jump back to me just like that. So that's the way page linking works, and how you can expand your tree. For instance, any of these nodes out here that are not populated, you could make links up, you could make pages up, or you could have photos that you would tie into them, like for instance these photos where it just pops up, and that could be a link to a photo, or it could be a link to another page. So that's an overview of how page linking works and how it all ties together with ScrapPage. So until the next time, this is Dave with Media Digitronics.